I think I am live. Hello, everyone. Uh, sorry, I was gonna say sorry I'm late, but I'm actually 1 minute before the time that I said it. Been working up until like 5 minutes ago, and then I decided to make some tea as we're going to look in this interesting, interesting thing I did last night, actually. Still hot. Okay, let's see who's here. Uh, I also in this weekend I made this cool plugin for OBS. That I can do this now. Ta-da! That's cool, right? Hey Martin, driving back from Madrid. Hopefully I'll be back in time to be here. Awesome, nice Martin. You're always welcome here, and you're always a nice presence. One day they'll realize the vegans had it right all along. Let's hope so. Let's definitely hope so. Draculum is here. Awesome. Dandelion Gum says, I'm glad you were the one to talk to him, Chip. I've seen people's take on veganism, and it's clearly not very well thought out. I hope I did a good job. I felt like I felt it was okay, but maybe I could have done better. Hence why I thought it would be cool to react with everybody else. I was just gonna react normally, but yeah, reacting with everybody else here, maybe everybody can give me some, oh, maybe you should have done it this way or this other way. Amazing, we'll be there to watch. Love it, Eduardo. Thank you for being here. Dandelion Gum also, thank you for being here. Jake Lagatare, awesome people. Erwin is here, always cool. Neil Smith. Man, all these awesome people. Felix also. Hello, everyone. Hey, that gay vegan. Moonrise Studios asks, what's a veganism? That's true. What's a veganism? So one veganism implies one unit of ethical consideration for animals. I have no clue what a veganism is. Veganism is a moral stance against animal exploitation. Good afternoon, Ben. Hello. Okay. Well, before we get into this, I just want to say that I was, I was like I wasn't planning on doing this. It was the evening. I was chilling. I actually just woke up, and I'm like, what do I watch now? As we all do. And I turned into YouTube, and he was live, and I'm like, oh, let's see what he's up to. I don't know if you're aware of Planet Peterson. He does these debates with people. He debates usually like God and flat earthers and stuff like that. So he doesn't really discuss veganism. And I saw that he was starting, I don't know, maybe like a couple of minutes when I came there. So I thought, you know what? Let's try. Let's see what's happening. And I opened TikTok because he usually gets the people on TikTok. I opened TikTok on my app. And I waited until I could see the request, and then I requested to join. Had to wait like 45 minutes because the discussion he had with the other person was like 45 minutes. But yeah, then I had a conversation with him. I was a bit nervous at first, but I think then things fell into place. But we'll see that. Oh, let's see. Marcos is here. Hello, Marcos. Nice to see you here. Oh wait. Oh no. Oh yeah. Okay. I found a bug already in my plugin just now. Hello, Marcos. Nice to see you. I might need to fix that bug. Let me write it down before I go, because I made this cool plugin to display comments so that I can speak to people, so that we can have like these streams where we do this. And yeah, now I found a bug. Okay. I'm writing the bug down, by the way. That's why it's taking a little bit of time. I'm sorry, everybody. Okay. Okay, how is everybody doing, by the way? I thought also it would be cool to have a little bit of a space where we just only meet with vegans. That's why I did it horizontally. I think it's a bit nicer from time to time to not deal with so many trolls. I'm no longer sick as you hear it. It's my first day where I have absolutely, like, it was my first night last night when I had absolutely no snot or anything. And I'm gonna come back to street activism possibly tomorrow. and if not definite, so definitely Thursday, possibly tomorrow, or possibly Wednesday. So we'll see. We'll see. It depends because I also need to help some friends with some things, and it's a whole thing. Yeah. So I don't know. Let's get into it. Shall we? Shall we get into this? Let's get into it. I don't want to overextend this. So let me put it and do this view. Yay, cool view over here. Okay. And let's open that thing. Bear with me for a second. I am still learning this thing. Sorry. Okay. Good, you're better. I may do some outreach tomorrow as well, says Jake Lagatare. That's pretty cool. And by the way, that's actually a good point. I'll if you give me 1 second. Where is this bastard? Okay. Trying to find that window. I have a lot of windows open. Like, you know, when I code, obviously there's gonna be, oh, there it is. It was called TikTok debate. Okay. Okay, and let me show it. Okay. So, yeah, this is it. There was one thing I wanted to mention before we do this. Oh, wait. Oh, damn. Okay, wait. I need to move this like this. Okay, there you go. So, Jake Lagatare says, good, you're better. I may do some outreach tomorrow. That's very cool. I wanted to say that I think it would be cool to support some of these channels that are starting to do more live outreach these days. So I've been contacted by some people who want to do live outreach, and I think it would be cool for us to just give them a couple of subscribes so that they can do, because you need at least 50 subscribers in order to do street outreach. To do live, sorry, not to do street outreach. You can do street outreach regardless, but to do live street outreach. Okay, let me just arrange these layers up a little bit. Okay. Okay, I think we're good. We're good. Let's block this. Oh, Enrico's also here. Hello, Enrico. Hello, Andoni. And yeah, let's get this show on the road. Let's see what happens there. I already scrolled to the point where, in theory, it should be our conversation. So yeah, let's start.
Well, the wind noise sucked, but it was a nice conversation. All right, I think the chip guy has been waiting the longest.
Hi. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, what's up?
Okay. So, well, I put that statement in the chat about veganism, and I'm interested.
Oh yeah, before we go there, by the way, yes, I did. I tested the waters a little bit. I tested the waters before I even said all that. Well, you know, the minute I joined that stream, I sent a message saying the only way to respect animals is to be vegan. Do you agree? And yeah, then he said, well, no, because vegans kill animals too. So you kind of know what to expect. And to be honest, I was kind of expecting, you know, because with people like him, a lot of the times I wanted to go in the direction where I like eventually reach what is the morally significant difference, you know, name the trait. But I did not want to get there too fast. And I also didn't want to be, I don't know, kind of like a dick about it. Oh, we got a donation. Let's see. Oh no, I can't output donations. Another bug in my plugin. Ah, damn it. Output donations. I don't even know how I'll test that. I'll have to donate. Thank you, Marcos, for showing me another bug in my in my plugin. Please, Chip, don't misunderstand me. I have another way to express my gratitude from distance. If I was there with you, I could help in other ways. thank you so much, Marcos. I appreciate you. I appreciate the support, and it always helps out. I can't say no. And by the way, going forward, I really do want to do more streams where we just interact with vegan people and we're like, a bit chilling. So yeah. As I was saying, because I get lost. I'm sorry, I haven't done this in a while, so I'm lost. I get lost a little bit in my thoughts. So as I was saying, one of the things that was happening in this, that I sent him a message, I expected him to be, when I reached the name the trait, because he's very scientifically focused. I don't know if any of you guys have watched his videos, but he's very scientifically focused, and he uses a lot of big words. He uses a lot of I guess big words is the right way. There's a lot of scientific stuff, which a lot of the times flies over my head because I don't even know what they are. I have to look them up afterwards. So I was kind of afraid. That's why I was very nervous, because I was afraid that he might use something when I named the trait. He'll just be using something like, I don't know, a certain word, and I'm like, I don't even know what that is or something. Maybe he would be using a fallacy that I don't know anything about, and this is what kind of the thoughts that were going to my head. So I tried tackling it a little bit easy and going in, and I also thought it would be nice to, he has a large audience. I wouldn't say very large. Like I think there were maybe in total like 500 people watching. So I also thought it would be nice to, instead of having like this defensive, aggressive person speak to him, rather somebody chill. So I tried also to be the chill person and the nice guy. So yeah, I think let's just move on. I just wanted to prefix that because I was mentioning that in the video that that I did mention about veganism, and his stance was that, well, vegans kill animals too. He will bring that up also.
Would you like to have a conversation with me about veganism?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I got to reply to this message here.
Sure. I might cough in the middle of it because I'm a bit sick. Sorry.
That's no problem. Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't really have it's not my thing. So I mean, fire away, but go ahead.
So, I mean, veganism is essentially like just rejecting animal exploitation as much as possible and practicable. Like, there's many definitions that people go by, but yeah. So wouldn't you say that then, if you as an individual are faced with the option between exploiting an animal or not, wouldn't you say it's a moral obligation for you to choose to not exploit that animal?
Not if you. I would say not if you don't value the like if you don't extend the same kinds of rights that you think that apply to you and your in-group, then no, there's really no case that you can make that they ought extend that to other animals. If you're a vegan and you want to be logically and morally consistent, then yes. But if you don't share that belief, then I don't really see why.
And by the way, here's the main point of this whole thing, right? Because he actually made a pretty good argument, and his argument was that, well, if you don't care, you don't have a moral obligation towards it, which I kind of agree, right? If you don't care, well, let's see, let me see my reaction, because I will go into it.
Okay, well, would you say that if it were the case for humans, that you should try to reject human exploitation as much as possible and practicable, or let me put it this way, that it is a moral obligation for you to try to reject human exploitation as much as possible and practicable?
I don't know what you mean by human exploitation. I mean, is it exploitative to?
So you see, at this point, I was actually, I won't pause this often, by the way. I won't, like, I'm just trying to explain my statement when I said he made a good point, because his point was, if you only care about yourself and your in-group, something like that, then obviously you may not care about animals also, and then you wouldn't have a moral obligation towards them. So I wanted to test and see if he thinks the same in the case of human exploitation, right? Because I wanted to test his logical consistency, more or less. When it comes to him, though, it's clear intellectual dishonesty. There's no way he thinks about abusing animals is not wrong. No, I agree. We'll go into it. You'll see. Thank you, Marcos. Again, man, I wish I could. I wish I could highlight what you're saying, Marcos. When I walk near seaside in my small island, I wish the people would be vegan so I wouldn't smell this awful smell from the dead fish every day. Oh, that must suck. I'm sorry. Vegan activists, please help. Yeah. Wow, that sucks, Marcos. I'm sorry. I guess more people need to do activism in that area. Huh? I was thinking that at some point, like, when I do outreach, I do it here in Amsterdam in a touristy area. At some point, if we get a lot of vegans, we as activists need to move to areas where they need more activism. Let's see. There's a non-vegan person here, huh? But vegan versions of food such as veggie bacon, veggie steak has over 20 ingredients. Yeah, well, the fact that it has a lot of ingredients doesn't really matter, does it? Like, imagine creating a recipe. I don't know, if you make a curry, you're going to add at least 20 ingredients. Some of them might be spices. The number of ingredients doesn't dictate whether something is healthy or unhealthy. And also, whether an ingredient is natural or not also doesn't dictate whether it's healthy or not. And also whether you can pronounce it or not if you're going to go down that route. So no, the fact that it has a lot of ingredients doesn't mean anything. And by the way, you cannot list the ingredients that an animal product has, but you do know that it does have a chemical composition just as much as everything else, right? Just because it's produced naturally doesn't mean it doesn't have a chemical composition. Mobius says, sure, what belief? Even if you don't care, you're still disregarding the consent of an individual, which is what makes all individuals individuals. Sure, Mobius. I think when he said that, I was kind of trying to understand. The thing is with people like him, the people. I'm sorry. I saw this comment. I couldn't stand laughing. For the record, Nautius and I are not cousins. Okay, so Mobius, the thing with people like him, the way I thought it would be that I don't want to fall into a trap, right? I don't want to fall into a terminology trap, right? Because if you're a bit nihilistic, if you're a little bit in this regards, like I think he was really going towards that subjectivity more or less. So I didn't want to fall into that trap. But you know what? I think I paused way too early, and let's just go deeper and see where we go, okay? Because I think if I paused that early, I just wanted to kind of mention my what I was going for.
Rely on like a.
Okay, let me scroll back a little bit.
I mean by human exploitation, I mean is it exploitative to rely on like a farmer to be able to feed you? Like, is it exploitative to start a business and have employees that do most of the work, and like you can pay them like a really good salary, but you're like, is that exploitation? I just don't know what exploitative means here.
Fair enough. Well, I usually go by the definition that exploitation means unfair usage. So,
sure.
So wouldn't you say that then we have a moral obligation to be fair towards people, like towards humans?
I don't have a problem with that.
Sure. So then there's this argument within veganism that says, what is the morally significant difference between a human being and an animal that says you don't have the same obligation towards an animal?
Yeah, like what's the I can't remember how they say that. Like I think
trait difference.
Yeah, the trait difference between them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything for that, really. When I've tried to think about this, the only thing that I really come up with is sort of, how would you describe it? Sort of the reality of the situation. So I reject that. Like, I don't think that human rights exist. People talk about the right to exist, or...
Yeah. You see, this is kind of what I mean, right? Like, it's going a little bit meta. I expected a little bit of this, a little bit of, I'm not gonna bite it. I'm not gonna go through the arguments. I'm just gonna be a little bit of human rights don't exist, a little bit of, well, if you don't care, why would that be morally inconsistent? A little bit of morality is subjective or stuff like that, right? Like, in a sense, I think he knows that the logical side of veganism is pretty much consistent, and it is pretty fallacy proof. So I think he's just tackling the other side, right? Like the other justifications, where he's like, I don't know if human rights exist, right? So yeah, let's move on. It's kind of interesting to me.
Yeah.
Something like that. Nobody, no entity, no group has that. The only thing that they actually do have is the ability to sort of not defend their claim, but to enforce their claim. It's not I'm not wording this very sophisticatedly, but that's the only thing that really exists. And animals don't have that unless we do all of the work for them.
So you see, this is the first mistake that he made, I think, because he's saying the only reason why humans have rights is because humans can fight for those rights. Since animals cannot essentially do that, or they cannot vocalize the fact that they want rights, then essentially we shouldn't be giving them rights because they cannot actually vocalize that, which I think is a mistake to say.
Right? So, and again, I'm not trying to make I'm not taking a moral stance on this. I'm just describing sort of what the reality of it is. Humans come together and we create social contracts and all this other stuff to assert the rights that we say we have. And any group that doesn't agree with you, and they form their own coalition, it can be that they can take it away. I'm not saying that they should or anything like that. It's just kind of the reality. And
I think this is also one of the mistakes that he makes, because he confuses with is versus ought to, right? Because the whole idea of morality is discussing how it should be, not how it is. Of course, we acknowledge that when human beings come together, they sign social contracts, and based on that, you decide what actual rights are. But there is something to be said about the moral aspect of it. But let's move on. I'll let him finish his whole thing.
Animals just completely lack that. If they could band together like we do, ants could absolutely eradicate the world of humans, and they might actually want to.
Okay, but let me put it this way: do you think that somebody who stands by human rights, who believes humans should have rights morally, not necessarily legally, would be morally inconsistent or logically inconsistent if they don't believe that the animals should share at least some of those rights, like the right to live free of exploitation?
Yeah, so I wasn't trying to go in the direction where we discuss whether human rights actually exist, whether those are a concept that we should accept. I really didn't want to go in that direction and dispute the human rights aspect with him, but rather I just wanted to see the logical consistency of it, right? Because obviously you can go down this meta path and say, well, humans don't actually have rights, it's just social contracts that we believe in. But then whenever you ask somebody like that if you believe in human rights, then they do, right? So I just wanted to go down the route, well, okay, well, if somebody believes in human rights, then they should also, in order for them to be logically or morally consistent, they should also apply those rights to animals, like I said there.
In what sense would an animal have the right to that? I don't understand.
I think morally they should have that right, because they are sentient beings. They do have the subjective experience of the world, and thus us trying to exploit them would mean that we are changing their experience of the world for our own benefit and against their own detriment.
But don't animals do that to each other, even if they're not?
Yeah, you can kind of see where the argument goes, right? Like it's kind of interesting. Let me check the chat in a while. I haven't checked it in a little bit. Sorry, everybody. Jake Lagatare says, I can fight for women's rights or gay rights and not be a woman or gay. 100%. Yeah. Yeah, you can also do that, right? Like, there is some truth to what he's saying, by the way. There is some truth that all of this is tied to certain social contracts, and morality is something that, unless you have a good grasp on yours, you get into this position where you might be defending something that might be immoral, right? Because morality isn't just strictly about what is normal and what is not normal. So I actually think maybe that's not true, because morality isn't necessarily a social contract. That's actually another mistake that he made, but rather something that you within yourself create, like a almost like a set of rules that you follow to some extent. Well, if you're a deontologist. Yeah, let's see what else people are saying. Rights are given or taken. They're either observed or they aren't. Right comes from rect, as in rectangle, as in correct, as in not wrong. Oh, that's a good point. Oh, they're either observed or they aren't. That's a good way of putting it. Honestly, I didn't really want to go down that route where we dispute the existence of rights, because then we get to that, that whole thing of how meta does he want to go into it, and he clearly got pretty meta into it. I think people can tell he can't be mocking and dismissive with you like he has with other vegans in the past. Yeah, I also thought the same. I think he was actually kind of respectful with me, but he actually also mentions the issue he has with other vegans. But let's move on. I think I stopped way too much. And if you guys have anything if you would rather tackle differently, just tag me in the chat and I'll see it better that way. Meanwhile, I'll keep a look in the chat, but I'll also let's just move on, because I think it's like a 30-minute discussion, and if we stop every 5 minutes, it's going to take a long time.
But even if they're not meta aware of it, don't they do that?
They do, but there's a difference between moral agents and moral patients, right? Animals are moral patients. It's accustomed to what a child would do. Like, a child might do something stupid, but you won't blame the child because they don't know any better. Just like that, an animal doesn't know any better. But we do, right? So we as individuals who claim to be acting morally, we should essentially be saying, well, we should be extending these basic rights to animals also.
You're just going to make me look stupid because, like I said, this isn't what I do.
Fair enough.
And the reason I'm good at this is or like the other stuff I do is because I've done it a million times and I've thought about it in the shower a million times before too. So,
by the way, I thought this was really nice of him I think he kind of lowered his guard a little bit, and we started having a nice conversation about it, which I thought was really nice. You don't always see that, so yeah. The conversation, I think, flows a little bit better because he also kind of lowered his guard down. He put his guard down.
I don't know. I don't even know what to say.
But let me put it this way: like, you're aware of the horrible practices within animal agriculture, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just like I understand you probably never have thought about this, right? I'm not here to to point fingers or anything. I'm just like curious, like, because when you make these choices, you're also aware that you can make different choices, right? Like, you can always choose a plant-based diet, like when it comes to diet.
Okay, so here's kind of where I don't really. Sometimes I don't get it with the vegan thing, right? So if being vegan is just about trying to do less of the exploitation and try to do less of the harm, then I don't even disagree. But when it's couched as being vegan is morally right and being non-vegan is morally wrong, that's where I'm like, okay, but we have a huge problem here, because being vegan means animals have to die because you have to grow food at an industrial level, which means you have to destroy habitat. Literally, there are animals that live in the pores. It's this weird kind of mite. I can't remember what its name is, but there are animals that live on the pores of your skin. And every time you wash your body, you are destroying them in the most... I mean, it's like you getting run over by... what are those things called with the big...
Oh, I just saw it now. Like, if you look in his chat, one person called Eat Your Veggies actually said crop deaths though. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool.
Rum on it, and it runs. What the hell? Why? My brain is
like
upgrading today. A steamroller, not a steamroller, but like something like that. Or maybe it is called a steamroller. You're doing the equivalent to them. And I don't think any vegan has a problem with when a mosquito bites you, you slap it and kill it. And then you're just like, it's kind of like you're saying, well, I don't care about insects, but I care about animals. And it's like, what are we doing here? So I'm not accusing you of any of that. That's just where I'm like, here's where the logic looks like it kind of breaks down for me. Sure. If you're going to say that veganism is good and non-veganism just by definition is morally wrong, then I can't agree with you for those reasons.
So let me put it this way. So you mentioned bacteria on hand. I don't know which you mentioned a couple.
No,
of
not bacteria. They're mites. There are animals that live on your skin, but just growing crops industrially means you have to destroy animal habitat, and it kills and displaces uncountable numbers of animals.
By the way, before we see my response to it, it's just kind of weird, right? The fact that crop deaths is such a prevalent argument against veganism, and it's one of the most, I don't know, I think it's one of the most disingenuous ones, if you ask me. It's just as disingenuous as plants have feelings, because essentially it is an appeal to futility. It is in a sense saying, well, regardless of what you're going to be doing, you're going to be killing animals. Because I don't believe him or any intelligent person out there would actually believe that you would be causing more harm if you were not, that you would be causing more harm as a vegan. So I think it's a bit of a disingenuous argument, but just putting it out there. Oops, sorry.
Yeah. So let me tackle it one by one. Okay, so you mentioned mites on hand. The whole thing about veganism is respecting sentient animals, and the reason for that is because they have a subjective experience of the world. They're somebody, right? Sentience essentially means you're a somebody. If you're not sentient, of course, you would try to reduce harm as much as you can, also in those situations. But I don't think you necessarily have a moral obligation towards that. So that's about.
So insects don't rise to the level of.
They do.
I don't know how he got that. I never said that insects don't rise. I just said that it's about sentience. It's kind of interesting that he already started with insects. I guess he thought mites are insects or something.
They do. But not like, I don't know if mites are sentient. Are mites sentient?
I don't think any animal is not sentient.
I actually did use ChatGPT afterwards, and I looked up if mites are sentient. There is no evidence that they are, so yeah.
I mean, if they don't have a brain or a central nervous system, it's highly unlikely that they would be sentient, right?
I don't think sponges have a nervous system, but I think basically any other animal does.
So as far as I know, sentience is an emerging property of brains, right? So I also don't know enough about it. But
jellyfish,
way, right?
Or wait, do jellyfish have a nervous system? So I'm looking this up.
Yeah.
Animals without a nervous system: sponges, placozoans. That wouldn't include mites, though.
And I also think it's quite interesting to see the chat. I wasn't paying attention to the chat that when I was doing this yesterday, because I think a lot of the times, birds of a feather flock together, that whole expression. So the people in the chat will essentially be mirroring some of his arguments. And I do see here now that somebody says insects are not sentient. Or somebody named me and says the debate about lobsters is proof that the central nervous system is not a good indicator. And this all hinges on how you define morality. And yeah, we can see kind of the same argumentation even in his chat.
So I think it's extremely limited. But like an insect has a subjective. There's a really cool book that you would probably like. It's called Other Minds by Peter Godfrey Smith. And it's about, it's kind of like he's a philosopher, but it's very scientific leaning. And it's about how nervous systems and subjective experiences may have evolved. And he does a lot of talk about insects because there's this idea of, can insects feel pain? Do they have a subjective experience? And there are some arguments that go kind of both ways with it. Because like when you tear a limb off of an insect, they don't do any kind of grooming to the limb. They just keep walking, because grooming is something that more complex animals kind of always do when they're harmed.
Actually, there are insects who do that. I think I read about certain insects that do actually take care of their wound and then they continue doing what they're doing. But insects are fascinating anyway. They're fascinating creatures, so different to us. And I do believe most of them are sentient, but I can't speak for all of them.
Which I just mean like they start licking it. They don't say like, hey, you want some candy or something like that. But there are other experiments that I can't remember that seem to indicate that insects understand some sort of sense of pain, or just which is really just the body's way of telling you that something is going horribly wrong, that is detrimental for your survival. But anyways,
I agree with you totally, right? Like I think most insects are sentient indeed. That's why we, like, when it comes to mosquitoes, because I did write that down. Essentially, there is a difference there, because if a mosquito is biting you, they're essentially attacking you in a sense, right? So when you are smacking a mosquito, or when you're chasing a mosquito out of your house, or you're killing a mosquito because they're in your house, whatever, you're not going intentionally to go and kill a mosquito. You're essentially just protecting your house. Like, your intent is not to kill the mosquito. I mean, it isn't that,
sure,
but the purpose of it is for you to protect your house. And the same goes for crop agriculture.
Sure. Sustaining yourself is not the same as self-defense. I can concede that that's a weak argument. But for 8 billion humans to exist, trillions, probably maybe even more than trillions, but trillions of animals have to die, even if we're all vegan.
Yeah, so I by the way, at this point when he said that, I actually didn't know if he meant the fact that more animals would die on a plant-based diet versus, because obviously I didn't even discuss any other aspects other than plant-based diet. So at this point I thought maybe he refers to that, but I didn't know exactly how to tackle it. So I remember that at this point I'm like, does he think that a vegan would essentially be killing more animals? Because that's definitely not true. So let's see.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, like there's no vegan, I think, on this planet who says that there is no harm that comes with existence itself. But that doesn't necessarily imply that you can create more harm, right? Like, you can't say, well, animals died in the creation of my house because,
well, you can,
therefore I'll go around killing more animals, right?
Is it morally wrong to not have children?
Is it
This was a very, very interesting question. I don't know where he was going with this. Is it morally wrong to not have children? No. I think it's actually preferred.
Oh, that's an interesting. So I've been actually tackling, what do you call it?
I was spacing on the word antinatalism.
When you're again, I think there is no. I don't know if it's morally wrong to not have children. I'll just say I don't know. You could make an argument for it, yes.
Well, okay. Would it be morally wrong for humans to
have children? Yeah. No.
I said to not have children.
Is it morally wrong? No, it's not morally wrong to not have children.
Okay. So then, would it be morally wrong for humans to collectively decide there should only be 1 billion of us? Because that would reduce animal suffering, even if we were all vegan.
No. So that's why, in general, like, veganism isn't a utilitarian position. But rather a deontological position, and it essentially means respect in each individual, essentially, right? Like, it's about your intent more than anything. If you're driving your car and you accidentally run over an animal, or a human, you didn't have that intent, so you are responsible for it, but you're not like morally culpable. I don't know how to put it. Like, there's a difference between that and you intentionally taking your car and ramming into somebody, right?
So this is where it just gets kind of sloppy for me, because you sort of went to the thing about like if I choose to buy meat from the supermarket, I know that I'm contributing to animal suffering. Yeah. Well, if we choose for there to be more humans, not less humans, then we know, even if we're all vegan, we know that we're choosing more animal death and suffering. And so I'm not trying to win this debate. I'm not trying to do gotchas. I'm just searching for what is like logically consistent and on.
Just to put it out there before we finish. Oh, actually, let him finish.
On both ends. And so let me just get your position on this, because I already stated.
Okay. So he asked me some questions, but before I just want to say, like, he's not trying to win this debate. I'll just put it out there. Maybe he could win a debate against me in the position of veganism or whatever other thing. But 100%, there is no way of winning against veganism. Veganism is a moral position that is 100% logically consistent with almost anybody on this planet. I think there are very rare cases. Well, even in those cases, I still think they would be vegan. But we actually go into those a little bit also later. Let me just actually, you know what? Before that, before he asks the question, let me look at the chat a little bit. Sorry, everybody, if I'm not as active in the chat, or it's just a little bit of a long conversation, and I want to be sure that we're going through all of it. Oh, the new guy says, great debate. Hey, thank you, the new guy. Yeah, I thought it was a good debate. I thought it was a good conversation with him. I wouldn't have called it a debate. I think he also called it a debate. I thought it was more of a conversation, but yeah. Marcos says, veganism reduces environmental impact by cutting greenhouse gases, conserving water, and protecting biodiversity, while promoting health and ending animal suffering. It creates a more compassionate, sustainable, and efficient food system for all life on Earth. 100%. Well put, Marcos. Well put. I like this. Linda says, he's making this overly complicated. Just don't pay for animal exploitation. Linda, I think I actually do say it at some point. It's pretty simple. Yeah. I fear spiders in former days. Just learn to manage it somehow. You're afraid of spiders? That's okay. I think fear of spiders is more or less a very societal driven fear, because there's no reason to fear spiders. Most spiders are pretty friendly to humans. Your demand causes the supply, so you are directly responsible for it. 100%, yes. Yeah, that point, that makes it sound like you don't care if there's more suffering by being vegan. Yeah, I didn't really understand his whole point there. I think it was phrased in a really maybe convoluted way where I didn't really get what he meant. Vegans care more about eggs than human fetuses. 100% consistent. Wade Harris, do you want to debate me on abortion? We can debate after this is over. Wade, stick around. I can send you a link and we can debate abortion if you want. I have no problem there. 2 for 1. We were just looking at one debate and we'll go for 2. He claims he wasn't trying to give you gotchas, but attempted to give you an anti-natalism gotcha 100%, even though he messed it up. But I also messed it up, in all fairness, right? In that sense. But yeah. I also felt like maybe he was giving an anti-natalism thing there. And yeah, I'm going more and more towards anti-natalism myself, but not for the reasons that they provide. I don't believe that the reason why you shouldn't have babies is because of suffering. I don't care about suffering. It's more that, well, there's several things to be said. A little bit about consent. I agree on the consent side. Spiders are cute. I just don't want them in my bed. 100%. Hell, I don't want spiders within 2 meters of my bed. So if I see a spider, I usually put a cup. Like it's this easy method, you know. You put a cup, you put a sheet of paper, whatever bug. All the bugs I do the same. I put a cup, a sheet of paper, then turn it around, toss them outside. Easy. You don't need to hurt them. It's the easiest way to get rid of any bug or insect that you don't want. Yeah, you can care about both, exactly. Little suspicious. Okay, there's some drama happening there. Okay, let's move on. Let's see what he drops my way.
Earlier, but yeah. I just want to know, do you think that being vegan is morally right and not being vegan is morally wrong? Or do you think, like veganism is over here and being like 100% carnivore is over here. And the closer you are to veganism, you are just increasing the good.
I think like here, when he was asking me this, he was trying to test whether I am, how some people call radical vegans. I think he was trying to say that, well, do you believe that there's a middle ground to all of this? Or do you think that you are definitely immoral if you are not, how anybody would say, 100% vegan? There's no such thing. It's either you're vegan or not. But yeah, so...
So as far as the definition goes, right, being veganism is you try to abstain from animal exploitation. You try to reject animal exploitation as much as it's possible and practicable.
By the way, before I go on, the reason why I kept mentioning this as much as possible and as practicable is because I really didn't want to get into the argument of what about the people who cannot do it and all that kind of stuff. And I actually tackle it at the end. So let's move on.
And
yeah, like let me. I'm sorry, but I'll interrupt just because I think it'll help. Is it moral? Is it still morally wrong to eat meat, but do your best to do it in a way that's less exploitative?
So first of all, I don't think there is a way that it is not exploitative to eat meat. Maybe if you eat dead animals that have died of natural causes or accidentally, right? Maybe that would be a way where it's not exploitative to eat meat. But if you are paying for an animal to be brought into existence only to be slaughtered, then it is inherently exploitative. And
what about
my
hunting?
whole point is, hunting is, well, hunting is it's difficult to call it exploitative, right? Because you're essentially just going out in nature and killing somebody. But hunting would still be wrong, knowing the context that you are causing harm to an innocent animal when you don't need to, right? Because that's where it boils down to.
So
to two factors: whether you need to, and whether you know what you're doing, right? Because if you're a person who just goes about your day and you have never thought about it, I don't think you're necessarily acting immorally. But if you know what you're doing, if you know the harm that you're causing, the exploitation that you're supporting, and you still choose to be part of it, then yes, I think you're acting immorally, regardless of how much animal products you are consuming. Even once a month, you would still be acting immorally.
Yeah, so that's the part of it for me that I think everybody's a hypocrite. I think I'm a hypocrite.
Yeah, you see where this is going, right?
I think the vegan, when they adopt this position, is a hypocrite too. Because like for me, you know, there's that meme. Well, it's not really a meme. It's real. But that billboard that some vegans put up where it has all these animals and it says, "Where do you draw the line between food and pet?" Yeah. And like they did it really badly because they put the cow and the bunny next to each other, and it's like, yeah, that's where you draw the line.
Oh, let's see which one he talks about. Where do you draw the line? I know I have never seen that one per se myself, like in real life, but I know which one he means. Okay, I think he means this one, right? All animals want to live. Where do you draw the line? And he put a cow, he said, next to a rabbit. He did not do that. So it's a chicken next to a horse, next to a rabbit, next to a dog.
And for me, next to each other, they did it really badly because they put the cow and the bunny next to each other, and it's like, yeah, that's where you draw the line.
I guess that's how he remembers it, that the cow and the bunny are next to each other. Interesting that he saw it that way. He didn't even see the chicken, I guess. I don't know.
And for me, I'm like, yeah, but like, do I think it would be morally wrong to eat a horse? Well, I wouldn't do it, but people.
Oh, and now he says horse, so I think he meant horse.
Do it. I wouldn't do it. Do I think it would be morally wrong? Like in Africa, they eat a lot of bushmeat, and some of that is chimpanzees. Now, I would absolutely never do it, but people live there. It's a very poor part of the world. They do it, and it's not morally wrong. But let's imagine a crazy world where our closest relatives didn't go extinct. So like Neanderthals exist, Homo erectus still exists. I would absolutely say, no, it is not okay to kill Homo erectus and eat it. And I am drawing the line in a completely arbitrary place based on emotion. I completely admit it.
I think he was intellectually honest with this one. I like that.
When the vegan position is that when you eat meat, you're causing animal harm, and so therefore there isn't a way to not be vegan and to be morally correct, but to be vegan but being vegan always necessarily results in animal harm unless you're going to completely obliterate human civilization, which would kill billions of us. And then there is no, because growing soybeans for tofu is industrial agriculture as well, that necessarily kills trillions upon trillions of animals. And it's kind of, I think the only thing you can do is arbitrarily draw the line at insects and moles and burrowing owls and whatever else.
The whole crop death thing.
Don't have the moral value that I require to justify feeding 8 billion humans. And I
like this guy or girl in the comments says, eat your veggies. Living causes harm to other people. Doesn't mean we can breed some into existence for us to use. That's actually an excellent point.
Just a harm reduction principle, and you can say, yeah, the guy that lives on his own land and hunts, but otherwise doesn't really buy farmed meat, I'm okay with that. But that's never the position. And so I just think everybody's a hypocrite, you know?
But isn't this kind of a nirvana fallacy? Because you're saying we can't be perfect, therefore we should not try to make things better. Because and it's not necessarily about.
But I can agree that there's a gradient of I am not taking a dichotomous position of these are the things that we know are wrong, these are the things we know are good. I think that somebody that. I think there's a spectrum of good. I doubt that's a philosophical term, but I'm a philosophical idiot, so that's what I'm going to call it.
No, that's fine. But you see, because the whole point. So I can explain why it's not about reducing harm necessarily, although you can see it that way. But the whole point is that you, as a person, would always, in a situation where you're faced with the choice between creating more harm, if you want to discuss harm, towards humans or not, you would always choose the option to not. So in order to be logically consistent with your position,
not
you should also do that for animals.
Yeah, but no. I disagree with that.
No, not deontologically. Yeah, not deontologically.
No, I do not hold that position deontologically. I hold that position utilitarianly because I think that if somebody is trying to end your life, you absolutely should end theirs first.
Yeah. So
I honestly, if somebody's trying to end your life, you should try to end theirs first. I guess that just means self-defense. I don't know what he meant by that.
Okay, but if we talk about the deontological position, you would never have the intent to harm somebody or to cause harm to somebody. And if and of course, if you had to do it, if you're in a situation where it's in self-defense, maybe you're in a deserted island and it's you versus them and you have to eat them, you would obviously choose to do it, right? Because you would be defending your life, and I guess it would be in some form of another justified. But when you're in a situation where you can make a choice and you are choosing to not to cause harm, but to support exploitation and, of course, inherently causing harm from that, wouldn't you say that you're acting more? So if you, sorry, let me put it this way: if you're in a situation where you could choose to exploit a person or not, or to cause harm to a person or not, whatever you want to see it, because I'm not very strict on these. Wouldn't you say that you would be acting logically inconsistent if you would be in the same situation for an animal, but you would be choosing differently?
I think this is where my sentence went a little bit weird. I literally just was trying to test the logical consistency of if in the same situation it would be a human, would you act differently? That's basically what I was trying to go for.
That was, maybe it's me, but that came across really clunky. So I hold the position that I should never intend to harm humans for no reason, and I should extend that to animals.
Yeah. So, and it's not just no reason, but because obviously when we harm animals or when we farm animals, we do it with a reason, but rather not a trivial reason, right? Not a reason that we can always just do something else.
Sure. So, the problem with this is that I can concede, or I concede logical inconsistency or hypocrisy on that, but you can't be vegan and not do the same thing. That's the problem I have with this.
So the thing is, I agree with you that, again, it's not a perfect world, and as a vegan, you try to do your best. And I do find myself in situations where I ponder what is the moral thing, and how can I be logically consistent in these positions? And there are obviously gray areas, or not necessarily gray areas, but situations where it could be potentially difficult, or I would find it difficult to justify my choices. But I think like the whole idea of veganism isn't necessarily about going after these small extremities, but rather about acknowledging that in a day-to-day position, in your day-to-day life, you are still making choices, and the choices that you are making, you could be making them in a way that where you don't harm other sentient beings or exploit other sentient beings. If you are in like small
cases, that's like the Peter Singer argument where everybody's evil because they choose. Like, I could literally donate 1 penny to the United Way, and I don't.
Yeah, I think he was going down another utilitarian approach right now. Wait, before we go forward, maybe I look at the chat a little bit more. I saw a lot of cool people here. Nana Blue, why don't vegans eat eggs? Unfertilized eggs are just eggs. Nana Blue, the reason why vegans don't eat eggs is because it's a form of exploiting animals, and because there's no reason for you to exploit an animal, even if you don't actually kill them or physically harm them. You're still exploiting them, so that would still be immoral. Yeah, that's one of the reasons, but there's several. Maybe you look at what happens in hatcheries, or maybe, you know what, when this ends, I'll show you if you remind me. Nobody wants to see themselves as immoral. Sounds like he's just trying to blur the line between moral and immoral. He does sound a little bit like he's like, yeah, you know what, I'm a hypocrite, but admit that you're also a hypocrite, right? He's in a sense saying that, like, okay, well, we're all hypocrites. Actually, he already said that we're all hypocrites, so might as well not even try, right? It's an appeal to futility in that sense. Okay, somebody wants to debate me. Let's see. Wade Harris, come on, debate me. I'll send you a link right now after this. You're right not to say the same as abortion, but for any women. Okay, I'm not going to go in abortion yet. Oh, Alexandra's here. Hello, Alexandra. I love it when you're here. Hello. He said straight up he doesn't share our principles. He said there's no such thing as animal abuse. They don't deserve consideration. They can't be exploited and so on. I mean, I don't know that he said that. I think he is trying, like, I think somewhere deep inside he knows that he's being, somewhere deep inside he admitted that he's being logically inconsistent. So, yeah. Wade Harris says, Chip and vegans view animals as equal to humans. I simply don't. Wade Harris, I view animals and humans equal in all the ways that matter. Do you know what that means? That means that for the simple right of not exploiting them, they are all equal, yes. Are they all equal in the sense that I would, I don't know, choose one of them as a partner? For sure not, right? I would always choose a human being over an animal. So no, none of them, nobody thinks that they are equal. We all have our own value system. It's just, you know, we give them the bare minimum of rights. Like probably Wade Harris, like you do with dogs, I would imagine. Wade Harris, I probably imagine that you don't exploit and slaughter dogs. You don't support the idea that dogs should be killed for optional products, so, or brought into existence only so that you can kill them. So yeah. That's kind of what we do to all animals. It's not about animals being equal to humans. I hope you understand that. And if not, learn. What can I say? He was morally consistent, and I use V to say I really appreciated an honest and non-delusional carnist. I also want to say that it was a pretty good conversation with him. I agree that. Average human is monster to animal. Yeah, sadly true. Well said. Linda says animals way over humans. Oh, Linda, I share that view sometimes also. But you know, I know that deep inside it's just me being frustrated. But I've been frustrated also with animals, so I wouldn't say that. I'm just frustrated with any other sentient individual that isn't myself. Wow, that's a thing to say. No, I mean, like, you know, a lot of the times when you get misunderstood, it becomes frustrating. Okay, wait, I don't care. Because that's what vegans actually believe, not that animals deserve rights and consideration, because we think humans and other kinds of animals are literally exactly the same. Literally the exact same. I don't think they're the same. I mean, you and I are not the same. How could I say that humans and animals are the same? I think we're the same in all the ways that matter. I think that's an important distinction, right? We're the same in the way that we wouldn't choose to exploit and slaughter a human being, and for the same reason, we wouldn't exploit and slaughter an animal in order for us to be morally consistent. But I don't think we're the same. The ways of devils involves blood disguised as tradition. They drink and eat deeply from cups and plates, filled with broken spirits, mass extinction, and hollow rituals. Thanks, Chip. I'd appreciate the explanation. That's a fun one. Okay, I'll explain it once we finish this. Okay, let's finish this. Let's go for it.
Or I'm evil.
I'm gonna go back a little bit to see where we were.
Everybody's evil because they
exploit other sentient beings. If you are in like small
that's like the Peter Singer argument where everybody's evil because they choose. Like, I could literally donate 1 penny to the United Way, and I don't. Therefore, I'm evil. I don't. If that's how it works, then I guess I am. But
I don't believe in evil, by the way. I'm not religious or anything. I don't believe there's such a thing as evil or good. I just think there's like morally consistent or morally inconsistent. And I feel like, I mean, you're obviously a very intelligent person. And I love speaking to intelligent people. And I just feel like as an intelligent person, you always have this extra moral duty because you could stand up for what is right. Because if you think about like 200 years ago, when we were enslaving humans, we were using the same justifications for what we do to animals today. And we were drawing the line not at a different species, but at a different race. So when we draw these arbitrary lines, we are essentially we are discriminating for something that we shouldn't really discriminate on.
Yeah, and that, like I said, that can be fine. I was going to say something else, and then I got distracted because I was writing something down and I was listening to what you're saying, so now I don't remember what it was. But I want to ask you about 2 different things here.
Sure.
And then probably just move on.
Yeah, sure, I get it.
But like, my thing is just, it's always going to come back to, well, there's 2 things. If, like, the way you're describing things to me fits more along the lines of we should, like, if you try to be vegan but you fail, then that's, but you don't live up to it or whatever, like, we can call that fail or whatever, then that's okay. But I get the sense that vegans don't think it's okay. You either are vegan or you are morally wrong. And that just doesn't make any sense to me.
This is why I've been repeating as much as it's possible and practicable, by the way. This is why I've been repeating it. For this particular, I was expecting him to say this.
Because, yes, I hear all the things about choosing not to cause harm, but a vegan has to kill trillions of animals in order for, well, a vegan doesn't, but a vegan world of 8 billion humans has to kill trillions of animals. And I think you just arbitrarily decide some animals don't deserve, they They deserve to die as much as we need them to in order for us to live. I don't want to rehash all that. I want to try to do two things here. One,
can I just say before you go? I'm sorry for interrupting you there. Before you go on to move on to the next thing, I mean, you said in a vegan world, and I think that's a mistake, because in a vegan world, the reality is the reason why we kill so many of these insects, because vegans care about insects also. The reason why we kill so many insects and why there are so many crop deaths is because the people who are in charge of those crops are not vegan. I would argue that the vegan who is growing plants will do their absolute best in trying to not harm any sentient beings. So in a vegan world, essentially,
you can't have that's anti-natalism. You can't have 8 billion humans in a world like that.
I mean, in what way can you not have that? Like, are you talking, because there are vertical farming, there's organic farming, there are methods of farming that don't cause so much harm to the other sentient beings. But if you talk about land use and water use and all that, obviously a plant-based would monumentally be better for the whole world, right?
I just disagree. I don't.
So you see, this is where I'm like, I don't think that he knows that a plant-based diet is less detrimental to the earth, which was kind of weird to me. But yeah, let's see.
Have the ability to run the numbers or the statistics, but
yeah.
I firmly do not think you can have 8 billion humans without industrial agriculture, and industrial agriculture has to be it's very high tech, but it's very, I don't know how to put it. I want to say crude.
No,
it's not crude, but like, you know, a guy with a garden in his backyard can shoo away the aphids and the caterpillars. And like, I take spiders from my house and put them outside, right?
Same.
Individually, you can do that, but in order to grow enough,
I think we were just talking about spiders just now in the chat. That's pretty cool that he mentioned that.
Food for 8 billion human beings, you have to do it at an industrial level where you're gonna, like, a deer is gonna get hacked in half by your combine. The only alternative is to make.
I'm sorry, but I gotta, before we finish this, like, a deer will never be hacked in half by a combine. That would be a really bad outcome. Like, I feel like a lot of these people who mention crop deaths, they intentionally put these most gruesome, most ridiculous things ever, because let's face it, a combine would, I don't think technologically would do well if they would have to kill a deer, or even, I think, anything bigger than a mouse, to be honest. But yeah, I think they would have issues. They would have to stop, they would have to clean, they would have to do all these things. Yeah.
Everybody a subsistence farmer, and you can't have 8 billion human beings. That's not possible.
No, but so there is vertical farming for these situations where you would basically developing vertically, right? Where you wouldn't have animals wouldn't be climbing vertically on some situations. But I understand what you mean about industrial agriculture will inherently mean some form of crop deaths and some form of negligence, right, towards what it is that you're doing. But it would still be monumentally better than what it is now, first of all. And second, that still does not justify us, like the harm that we cause within farming or our existence does not justify us causing more harm on top of it, right? Like, even if you had it equally, where you would be animal agriculture would be equal to plant agriculture when it comes to 1 gram of protein using the same amount of land and all this, the same amount of crop deaths. Even if you equalize it, it would still not make sense for you to choose animal agriculture, because that would still be the choice where you're intentionally paying for animals to be exploited and slaughtered. And there's also the argument that if we ever want to make the world better, we would anyway have to get rid of our intentional exploitation of animals so that we can tackle our incidental or accidental deaths that are caused within plant agriculture, right?
Sure. I could say a lot, but everything I would respond to I've already said. And there were two.
Yeah, I feel like he was here. He was a bit disingenuous about it. Like he said, I could say a lot. I think like he didn't want to go down that path because I think he knew that he doesn't really have a big leg to stand on this argument. My whole point was that while saying that statement, which was kind of a mouthful, my whole point was saying that even in even if we equalize the amount of crop deaths that happen for animal agriculture versus plant agriculture, we would still be in a better place if we only have plant agriculture, because we can evolve in a good direction in that sense. But my whole point in saying that was more or less to kind of explain to him or steer him in the direction that animal agriculture does considerably more crop deaths than plant agriculture for a ton of other reasons. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, everybody. There's somebody at my door. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I got myself a package here, I did. Okay, let's it's almost done. Let's move on.
Other things I wanted to get to you on. Do you think that it's morally okay to kill invasive?
By the way, before he asks his questions, the the minute that I heard him say that he has questions for me, I already knew that these are going to be not necessarily gotchas, but they're going to be questions that, well, they're a little bit like gotchas, right? They're a little bit like, I'm gonna be telling you what's what. I spoke to other vegans and I'm gonna tell you what's what. So let's see.
Get to you on. Do you think that it's morally okay to kill invasive species?
Oh no, I do not know.
Even though invasive species cause like huge amounts of harm to the native species.
Yeah, but like I think the most invasive species on this planet is by far the humans. I would not be morally okay with killing humans. So just because they cause and the whole humans without a doubt cause the most harm to all other species and environments on this planet. So I would just extend the same respect to all other animals. We definitely fucked up all the environment, but
so yeah. like as an example, let's say there's an invasive species, like, I don't know, a snakehead or carp or kudzu, like whatever, I don't know. If we allow that invasive species to exist in an ecosystem, it could kill 90% of the animals there. So killing the invasive species, now it's basically a utilitarian argument, but you can sort of make the claim or the argument that, and kudzu is a bad example because that's a plant. Obviously, you don't give a shit about that. But we can say
that when he said you don't give a shit about that, I felt that like a little bit like, no, that's not true, and I laughed it off. And I don't know if you heard it. I said no, that's not the case.
We can, like, if we could somehow know that if we kill 1 million invasive species of this one animal, it'll save, or it'll not exactly save, but it'll bring back, which in a way is saving 1 billion other animal species, which does follow the principle of reducing harm, I think, but you're still against it.
Yeah. So by the way, this isn't a vegan issue, right? This is just a interesting question to have. I would say it's more of a question about speciesism more than veganism itself, like discriminating based on species. For me personally, I don't believe in the ends justifying the means. So us killing some animals, even if the ends would be monumentally better, I don't agree with that. Like I wouldn't kill one human to save the whole humanity also. Or let me put it this way, maybe I would, but I wouldn't find my action moral, right? Like I'm not insane. I might commit immoral acts because I want the world to be in a certain way, but I wouldn't find those acts necessarily moral if I commit something that is clearly immoral, right? Like I would, when
Sure.
we're doing this kind of things, we are essentially removing the individuality of all these individuals that belong to those species. And like if I were in that situation, I would try first relocating them, maybe castrating them. I don't know. It's still kind of iffy castrating them, of course. Even relocating them can be iffy. But I think there's things you can do before going, well, let's kill the whole species off or something. I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. The other thing I wanted to ask you was I talked to a vegan like a week ago or so on.
Yeah, I don't like that whole thing that I brought up, the castrating them, but I think like I'm always, I don't know how to put it. I'm always a little bit in doubt, or in I'm always questioning whether we have a deeper responsibilities as humans because we have higher intelligence. If we don't, then no, we should not do that. But if we do, then yeah, then it becomes a little bit complicated. So that's why I mentioned that. And I just wanted to explain that. And I can explain what I mean by deeper responsibility, but maybe some other time.
On YouTube. And we spent like 20 fucking minutes on this one question because he wouldn't give me a straight answer to it. And so, like, you know, in the Arctic, you can't grow food there, like if you live above the Arctic Circle. But Inuit people and Yupik people and whatever else, they live up there. The only thing they can do is, you know, harvest seals and eat that. You can't grow food. So do you think it's morally wrong for people to live in the Arctic Circle? Or do they get a pass for some reason?
That's a good question. And I like how you phrased it. Is it morally wrong for people to live in that circle? Obviously, it will depend based on each individual, because I acknowledge that some individuals don't have the financial means to move from there, I would say. But if you can move from there, if you can make the choice, like, again, it's about the choice. If you have the freedom to choose, then I believe that you should choose the moral thing. Otherwise, yeah, living there might be the immoral thing. If living there means you might need to kill others, because if you live in an area where in order, like you choose to,
they have to club seals. There's literally no other way to live.
Yeah.
I don't believe that's true, by the way. They don't have to club seals. I'm sure there are vegans also in those areas.
Imagine being on an island somehow where you have to kill other humans to survive, and you choose to live there. Then, I mean, you could say that you're no longer in a situation where you're, I don't know, survival situation. You're intentionally in that. You're putting yourself in that situation to do it. But even in the Arctic, if I'm not mistaken, nowadays they have supermarkets almost everywhere. And while it could potentially be more difficult to be vegan, I wouldn't say necessarily it's impossible to be vegan.
Well, I mean,
well, before we go there, let me look at the chat a little bit, because I saw a tag. So Benji asks me, "What do you think about the new Romanian president?" Benji, after we finish this, I'll answer that also. Okay. Arctic though, hell yeah. Yeah, that's kind of funny. I don't think that'll happen. I have no faith in hitting that critical mass, but it's possible. So we gotta try. We will work on gaining power systemically. Yeah. I think at some point, yeah. I think this shows the fundamental difference between us. I don't know what you mean, Wade Blue, but there is no fundamental difference between us that justifies the difference in treatment. Dandelion Gum asks, okay, how is that relevant to you choosing to abuse and exploit animals? So Dandelion Gum, within this conversation, I could have always pointed the finger at him and asked him about his choices. I just never did that. And the reason why I didn't do that was I really didn't want to go down that route. I felt like he would become defensive. Like, I have seen his videos, and he does. He's clearly an intelligent guy, and I'm like, I did not want to get, I don't know, scolded on some technicalities or something. I really just wanted to kind of make the point across. So pointing the finger at him would have been a bit, I don't know. I think like he would have gone down a different route, and I really didn't want to go down that route. I was also, as I said, barely woken up. My brain was barely working. So yeah. Hey guys, you can do it. It's easy. Just improvise. Oh, that's a cool thing. That's a cool way of putting it. Improvise. Hey, Anna's here. Nice to see you here, Anna. Always appreciated. Oh, look at this. Inuits managed to get mobile phones and no mobiles and internet and how difficult is it to import vegetables? They'd keep well. I agree with you, Dave. I agree with that. That's kind of ridiculous to say that it's not. This have to club seals. Also, they have to club seals. Really, they have to club seals. Like that whole statement is clearly like an exaggerated statement that means nothing. It's more like it really is a little bit of an appeal to emotion, isn't it? I'm gonna make it emotional. They have to club them. Let's say they have to kill seals. They don't have to club them, even if you believe that. They don't have to kill seals. Like, I don't know. It's just like it felt like a little bit disingenuous. That gay vegan says, the earth doesn't punish, she mourns. For every bite of violence, she bleeds. Her tears are rising seas, burning skies, and broken hearts. She still feeds us. We will choose peace. Nicely said. That in ways that make it impossible to avoid without taking power and forcing systemic change. I don't know what you mean there. I'm just going to scroll a little bit down. Let's see. Are you doing more Discord debates from now on? No, I'm not going to be doing more. I'm going to be going back on the streets soon. I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, I think I don't know. So I'll definitely go at least once between tomorrow and Thursday. And afterwards, yeah, I'll see. This week is a little bit awkward week, but I definitely want to go and be on the street also. Yeah. Pure victim denial. Heck yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's wait. I could have understood if he said they have to fish, but club seals. Yeah, exactly, right? Like that's also kind of how it felt like. Do they like really? You said club seals. It was a bit. I mean, come on. I just asked ChatGPT if people who live above the Arctic circles have to kill seals to survive. They do not. Thank you, Anna. Thank you. That's awesome. There you go. We learned something today. I also didn't think that's true. Let's move on. I'll scroll back a little bit.
They have supermarkets almost everywhere, and while it could potentially be more difficult to be vegan, I wouldn't say necessarily it's impossible to be vegan.
Well, I mean, like there are people that live, traditionally indigenous people, and I don't know to what extent they have access to the grocery store or whatever. I asked that question to him because he implied at the beginning that it was okay.
By the way, I wonder which vegan he was talking to.
I was like, wait, but if you take this really strong stance, then shouldn't it be morally wrong for them to live there if they have the choice to leave? And he just kind of like, eventually he said that would be. Now your argument is they don't really have much of a choice, so it's not like they can just die or anything like that. So that's fine. Like, I wasn't trying to gotcha on it. I was just really looking for I want to hear the best arguments to what I think are good rebuttals, or like.
Just to be clear, he wasn't trying to give me a gotcha, but I know what he was doing because I was in that position that he is in now. What he was doing is he had concerns about veganism. He has concerns, just like I did before going vegan. And he had these arguments and he wanted to discuss them with somebody. And he did probably with somebody who did not rise to the intellectual debate or discussion that he wanted to. And I hope that in me reaching this, that I did curb some of his concerns. I'm sure he has more now, but at least I hope I moved him a little bit further in this position. Let's see.
What do they call edge cases, So
no, I appreciate these edge cases, by the way. I love challenging these things, and if you like, almost every week I find an edge case myself that I need to challenge, because I mean, that's the thing about existence. We will be killing somebody, we know that. But I think, just to simplify the whole message is, if you have the choice to not do it, I would say you should choose not to do it. It's as simple as that. We don't have to go into complicated things and making numbers on one side or the other. you can just say, well, my intent, knowing that I'm intentionally causing harm or intentionally exploit, because it's about exploitation, not harm, by the way, but intentionally exploiting animals for something that I can definitely choose otherwise, then how can I ever morally justify doing that? So yeah, there are edge cases, as you said, but those are interesting to discuss and look. But yeah, I don't know. I would say even in situations like if I go on a deserted island and I could only eat animals to survive. Well, sorry, not if I could go, but if I end up on a deserted island and I can only survive by eating animals, I would still call myself vegan if I do eat some animals, because I am still acting within my principle where I reject it as much as I possibly and practically can. But nobody's advocating for people to die off or for anything like that, right? It's about making the right choices when you have the available choices, and very importantly, being intellectually honest with yourself that you actually have those choices. Because people will always say, yeah, but it's difficult to go to the store, or come up with reasons or stuff like that, right?
Yep. Okay, I think we'll have to leave it there.
Yeah, I appreciate the talk, man. It's a nice talk. And I love your channel, by the way. I found you on YouTube, and I've been watching your conversation. I especially love when you call people it. I start laughing when you do that. It's always so funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I only do that to like the flat earthers, but yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming.
I guess I've heard a lot of flat earthers. Cheers, man. Bye.
I didn't see what he said afterwards. If he said anything.
Always a good time to edge with a viewer.
Hey, what's going on?
Okay, well, that's it. Always a good time to edge with a viewer. I don't even know what that means, but yeah. Yeah. So I don't know what you guys thought about that conversation. I thought it was a pretty good conversation. I wasn't very pushy. I am looking forward to going on the streets and being a little bit pushy. I miss being a little bit pushy. I think I've been very nice. I've been too nice, way too nice, and I miss being a little bit pushy, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I love this statement from Anna. Oh no, sorry, from Peg. I'm vegan because I know that animals are not food and they don't want to die for a 10-minute meal. Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. Chip, the vegan debate 2 weeks ago is on his channel. Vegan rage quits mid-conversation. Ooh, I might do another stream at some point and we could watch that. Anna says, I'm vegan because I learned that animals hate being a slave, just like me. Yeah. I've been debating on this thing, which I guess Nana Blue, if you're still here, Nana Blue, yeah. Always a good time to edge with a viewer. Lol. Also, that chip guy, edge is a sexual term. I'll let you think about that. I know of the sexual term called edge. I just didn't think that was in that scenario, right? I'm just saying that's been, I don't know what you mean by that. It was a good it was a good conversation, better than many anti-vegans. Yeah, it was okay. I think he was intellectually honest, and at some point he just tried doing some things. I think it's also difficult with people like him because obviously his whole shtick, I don't want to call it shtick, his whole deal is that he's an intelligent person trying to discuss topics, and he has to seem intelligent in his things. And I think like in this whole area, he was kind of, he realized that he wasn't in the right. So I think I didn't want to pressure him too much because he was on his live channel. Like I kind of wanted a good, how do you put it? A good intent in conversation, right? Like a goodwill from both sides. Maybe he'll reconsider, and maybe he will actually look into some of the things. I don't know. I doubt it, but maybe some of the people hearing it will. I don't know. If we're not meant to eat animals, then why is the sky blue? Yeah, exactly. Funny. Okay. Yeah. Appreciate you being on my side then, I guess. We must recognize that societies all over absolutely love exploitation and hate consent and bodily autonomy, and we must stand against all of them equally. 100%, yeah. Yeah, all of it is wrong. That was a very good and interesting point. I don't know which one, but yeah, you know, I feel like I'm a pretty empathetic person myself, so I try not, when I speak to people, I try not to, like, I don't like making people look bad. I don't think we're getting anywhere by making people look bad. I think the people who come on his channel to watch his content are usually people who, especially the smart ones, right, are usually who like being on his side. And if I were to be against his side, I would have basically not made anybody think, but rather just gotten this whole emotional reaction from everybody against me. But you know, I really wanted to stay clear of that, because the other people who come to his channel are people who just want to debate religion or have some silly arguments, and I want those people to be vegan also, but I don't think those people would go vegan simply because he wouldn't have good enough arguments against it. I think the people who are actually listening to him or to the arguments are people who I want, you know, to be nice to. Like, I wanted to be on his side. Yeah. Yeah, I said no culture justifies using someone without their consent. Not the reality, but that's using culture as an excuse. It's not morally valid. Yeah, true. Okay, Nana Blue, are you still here? Because if you are here, I can show you a little bit of what happens for eggs before we go. Hatcheries. Skirmish UK asks, did you run NTT on Planet Peterson? I tried at the beginning. I did. But I think he kind of dodged it and moved on, and I moved on also. I didn't press him on it. Maybe I should have. Maybe that was a mistake that I made, actually. I was thinking about it later. Not sure if I told you, did solo activism in my local town. Hell yeah, Felix. Fucking awesome. That's awesome, man. Met few vegans and invited them to do activism. Even one vegan activist can make a huge change. Felix, that is amazing, dude. Awesome. That is awesome. Bravo. Bravo. And everybody, if you're not following, if you're not subscribed to Felix, what are you even doing? You know, Felix is a cool guy, and you get these debates while at the same time you watch games being played. It's freaking awesome. You should follow. You should subscribe to his channel. Let me get his channel before we move on, and I can put it in the chat. Here we go. This is Felix channel. I did send Nana the egg videos, but I just realized I cannot send YouTube links in the chat. I did that for months. Okay, well, you know, I was thinking whether to show them or not. I don't want this video to, I don't want to get, I got on YouTube, I got a strike because of showing some violence. So, you know, Nana Blue, I'll just give you Dominion, the documentary. And if you really want to know, I would urge you to watch that. And if not, scroll to the part where it mentions eggs. It's pretty simple. I'm already sub to Felek. Hell yeah. Nice, Lois. I believe your video. I don't need to see it, but do we know what factory it is? So Nana Blue, it's like this. In chickens, the chickens that lay eggs are different than the chickens that are grown for meat. They're just a different species. And that means that the chickens that lay eggs, they usually come from a hatchery. A hatchery is a place where they grow chickens. That's all they do, right? They take the eggs, the fertilized eggs, they shine some heat on them, and then when they hatch, some workers, they look at, they literally take all of the hatched eggs, they see them coming from a conveyor belt, that's usually the procedure. They look at them, they're trained how to notice which one is male, which one is a female. They take the baby chicks, they go like, this is a male, this is a female, toss them in one way or another. And the minute that they get, obviously the female chicks will go into backyard farming, factory farming, biological farming, whatever. But they go wherever, right? Those chickens are the ones that lay eggs where some people might find it, well, there's no problem, they're from my backyard, but they're coming from the same place. And the male chicks, because they don't produce any eggs and they're a different species, they get slaughtered. And usually they get slaughtered on their first day of life by getting blended up alive or stuff like that. So Nena Blue, it's not why did they hatch. So the chickens that lays the eggs, the hen that lays the eggs is coming from a hatchery. They're also coming from an egg. And when they hatch from an egg, there's two parts. They can either be a male chick or a female chick. The female chicks, they'll go on lay eggs for the rest of their life, or until the farmer says they no longer lay enough eggs, and then they kill them. And the male chicks, they get blended up alive or asphyxiated to death or gassed to death. So it's not, you have to think before, it's not about the eggs that you eat. Those are not fertilized. That's not what we're saying. Those come from a chicken, and that chicken came from another egg. You understand? And obviously when they come from that egg, let me put it this way. For every chicken that lays eggs, there was a male chick that was blended up alive on their first day of life. Yeah, Wade Harris, do you want me to send you a link right now so we can debate? I feel like we can do that if you want. I have no problem. Where's the debate? We just finished it. We just finished watching it. I'm gonna end soon also, actually, I think. Chickens are non-binary. Chickens are male or female. They're not non-binary. Chickens need to be crossed back with wild red jungle fowl. Get them to lay less eggs. There's also that, yeah. Not good to have your period for practically every day of the year. Yeah, there's obviously also that, yeah. Yes, chickens who lay eggs. The eggs are eggs until they are fertilized, yeah. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, if you believe in evolution, theoretically the chicken came first, not the egg. Right? It's evolution. They evolved until some point they made eggs. I don't watch your review. I want to see the entire debate. Where is the debate posted? Oh, you don't want to watch my review of it? I'll post the link. I'll give you a second. I'll give you the link 1 second. I'll actually give you the link, I think, with the moment that it starts. Here it is. Here is the link to the debate. I don't mind. You can watch it. I have nothing to hide. As probably you have seen the people who have been in this chat. Come on, Wade. You seem to have plenty of opinions. When are you going to debate Chip? Yeah, Wade. When are you going to debate me? So how did the male chickens hatch? Okay, well, let me explain. Okay, well, let me bring up Notion. And I guess I have to show you a quick explanation. Okay. And, it's kind of funny that we're doing this, but hell, then where we're gonna go. Moonrise Studio says the egg came first. I don't think so. I think the chicken, but I don't know. Come on, Wade. Why are you dodging me? Whenever I invite you for a debate, you're like, run away. But then you're like, come on, man. You're exactly like the type of person who's like, who's like all talk and no play, you know. Wow, with a shitty name like that, I will continue to consume animal and animal products. I'm sure you will continue to be supporting needless animal exploitation. There's several people, yeah. Moonrise Studio says the egg to hatch the first chicken evolved before the chicken. Oh, I see what you mean, like the theoretical chicken, not necessarily the fowler chicken or whatever. That was a good impression. Yeah, I know, because that's who you are. Wade, you chicken out, or you. I'm sorry to be using that expression, because chickens, I'm sure they're braver than you. You coward. You're a coward when it comes to debating me. And yes, I have no problem calling you a coward because you behave like a coward. So if you behave like one, I'm just calling them out. Yeah, can you crack open Paint and draw a diagram for an envelope? That's what I was gonna do. Yeah, thank you. Okay, let me see. I love it. Love this. Okay, window capture. Not my calendar, damn it. Stop this. I don't know what I did, but whatever. Okay. Damn it. Okay, let me. Okay, now I can do it. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I opened Figma because I don't have Paint. I'm on Mac or whatever, right? So I'll just put it this way. This is a chicken, okay? Let me put it also on here. Chicken. Or actually a hen, because that's, I think, a better definition, right? Okay, and let's make it big. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing, by the way. So this is a hen, okay? This hen will lay plenty of eggs, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and you get the point, right? They lay, sorry, they lay, damn it, what am I doing, man? Okay, so they lay plenty and plenty of eggs until some point the farmer says, you know what, you're not laying enough eggs. So then, you know, they get killed, okay? Let's say slaughtered. I think it sounds more drastic, and it is pretty bad. So at some point they get slaughtered. Let me make this text a little bit smaller. Okay. And I'm gonna put this with a bright red. Damn it. Okay, let's just pick it this way. Okay, so at some point they get slaughtered, okay? This chicken, this hen, will lay eggs, okay? Their whole life, that's what they do. They lay all the eggs. This is a timeline, by the way, from top to bottom, okay? This hen, okay, let me put it next to it so we know that this is an indicator. This hen will lay a lot of eggs and then they get slaughtered. However, this hen themselves come from another egg. You know that, right? Obviously they come from another egg. Well, they come from a place where this is a female. I'll just put female with the traditional pink. I don't believe that female should be pink or blue or whatever. I'll just stick to the tradition so that you understand it better. And now, every other hen, let me put it this way, every other hen that lays chickens suffers the same, that lays eggs suffers the same fate, okay? Every single one of them, okay? That's what they do. They suffer this fate of laying eggs and then being killed when they can no longer lay eggs. But obviously these eggs are also coming from another chicken. Let's imagine that they're coming from the same chicken, right? This other chicken or this other hen will lay a lot of other eggs. And of course, there's a 50-50 chance that for all those eggs, there will be also a male chick, okay? So essentially for every chick out there, there is, oh, damn it, I moved this one. There is a male chick, okay? For every single chicken that lays eggs, there is a male chick. Well, these ones, they don't lay eggs. So what they do with them is they take them on their first day of life. They barely get to live. They take them all away, right? There's just as much chance. And all of these get, okay. Let's remove the filling. Let's put a line. Yeah, you're seeing my amazing skills in Figma, by the way. Not amazing, I'm kidding, of course. My skills kind of suck in Figma. Well, in pretty much any design, I'm not a designer. Okay. All of these are male chicks, okay? Male chicks. And what do you know what happens to all of them? They all get slaughtered. Ah, damn it. Copied the text. These also get slaughtered, okay? So when you're buying one of these eggs, just one, right? If you're buying this single egg, you're supporting, let me put it this way so that you understand. I guess this is it. You're supporting this. You're supporting this. No, this doesn't work. Are there? Can I draw? Okay, well, you're supporting this. You're supporting this. Right? Sorry, not that. You're supporting, of course, the killing of male chicks, the slaughtering. You're supporting the exploitation of these other women. And then you're supporting the slaughtering of them. Of course, there's also the fact that, let's put it this way, the fact that there's so many of them is also another issue. Too many. Because obviously, no body was made to have so many of these. Okay, so there's several issues with eggs, as you can see. When you buy one single egg, you support the slaughtering of male chicks. You support the exploitation of chickens for eggs. You support the slaughtering of chickens when they can no longer lay enough eggs. And you support the idea that chickens who lay 300 eggs per year or more, which is way too many, you're also supporting that. So you're supporting suffering, exploitation, abuse, and slaughter. Is that clear? I'm sorry for my shitty skills. Teaching non-vegans about animal agriculture with star circles and squares. Maybe he should use crayons next time. I will, yes. You see, Anna liked it. Dick. Nana Blue says, appreciate you, Chip. I get it, but who the F is doing this? Which factory? Which factory? Everywhere. I actually have been sitting, if you were specifically asking who kills these male chicks, and let me also add on top of this, by the way, that they are blended up alive. Blended up alive most of the time. This is the most common practice. Or blended up alive, or they are also asphyxiated. Let's put it gassed to death. That's also the second, and I think, and then the next is asphyxiated. They literally put them in a bag and wait until they die. So who does this? Well, everywhere they do it. Absolutely everywhere. I actually stopped. We actually did this action we actually did this action in Utrecht, where we would have a blender and a toy chick in a blender, and we would ask people on the street, would you press the button to blend them alive? A lot of people thought it was about like chicken nuggets or something. I'm sorry, My watch was acting weird. A lot of people thought it was about chicken nuggets, but it wasn't. And we explained that it was about what happens in the egg industry. And, like we were like 6 activists. I met 3 farmers. I remember I did it twice, and I met like I think 3 farmers one time and maybe 2 another. And each and single farmer said they do that they do blend them up alive. They weren't even saying about the asphyxiation or everything else. They said literally that they blend them up alive. There was a man who was with his child, who was a farmer, and he was telling his child that they do that. And even his child was like, what? No, you don't do that. So yeah, everywhere they do it. So when you're buying eggs, this is what you're supporting. Yeah, you shouldn't be supporting that. I'm just saying, you don't need eggs. You can always choose something else. Yeah, it's all horrible. But at the end of the day, I feel like when you think that you can use somebody against their consent, regardless if they can ever give consent or not, when you justify it by saying I give them a good life or I treat them well, but you're still using them, you always end up in these shitty situations, especially when you start doing it at a systemic level. When you start repeating it, you just end up, committing horrific acts of violence. So yeah, you shouldn't be doing that. I mean, Nena Blue, I hope it was pretty clear. And I don't know, I've seen you here often. I thought you were vegan. I didn't know you were not vegan. But yeah, I hope you get to consider, when I became vegan, that was my whole thing also. Eggs was like, oh, it's gonna be difficult to give up eggs. It really wasn't. When did you debate Peterson? Yesterday I debated him. And maybe I should put the video in the description. I debated him yesterday, and then we watched it again today. It was a good conversation more than anything, not necessarily a debate, but yeah. All right, I'm no longer replying to people who just want attention, and you shouldn't, Neil Smith. I think we were pretty clear. Like Wade, for example, Wade thinks that he has the right not to only decide for the bodies of animals, but also for the bodies of people with a uterus, who are mostly women, right? Let's face it. So Wade here thinks that he has the right to decide for their body. That's what he thinks. And people like that, you should never give them too much attention, because when you give them too much attention, it just kind of, I guess, validates their beliefs or something. And so no, Wade, leave everybody alone. You have your own body. Let other people deal with their own body, okay? I would assume because you're a man and you don't have a uterus, you obviously have a stance against abortion, that it is bad or something, obviously. But no, you should probably look into the scientific data. You should probably look into what abortion is, because I'm sure you also don't know what abortion is, right? I'm sure you don't know. So, yeah. It's not, spoiler alert, it's not about killing the fetus. Chip, I'm an heirloom gardener trying to keep toxins out of the soil and almost vegan, have food insecurities. Okay, well, yeah, let us know in NW if we can help you out with some insecurities. Have you tried Challenge 22? They're pretty cool. They help you out. Blob Jones says no man has a uterus. Yeah, there's men who have uteruses. There's men who men who were born biologically as women, and they identify as men, and they are therefore have a uterus. There's men who have a uterus. It's pretty simple. Wade, I'm still waiting, and when you want to debate me on abortion, I have facts on my side. I can have no problem debating you, and you will see that I am morally consistent. It's something that I care about, and I don't take lightly. So yeah. Because I'm human, I can. Okay, so just because you're a different species means that you have the right to exploit animals. You're speaking exactly how the racists were speaking. Because I'm a white person, I can. Because I'm a human, I can. Bravo. Great logic over there, man. Great logic. Whatever fallacy you want to call it, I will continue to consume animal and animal products. Well, no. Vegans, whatever your name is, maybe you should literally name it like this. Whatever fallacy you want to call it, I will continue to support needless animal exploitation, abuse, and slaughter. Because that's what it is about. We don't care what you eat. You can put in your mouth hole whatever it is that you want. Hell, you can eat rocks if you want. I don't really care. You can choose to eat whatever you want. Just, leave animals alone. That's it. Don't exploit and slaughter animals. Pretty simple. Okay, I think I'm gonna go. I think I've been interacting with everybody. Wait, there's no point. We disagree fundamentally. I think Wade Harris. I think you'll see that not only that we don't actually disagree fundamentally, because I do believe that life begins at conception, as you say, probably, which is most people say. But what you will find is that you are being morally inconsistent. I can ask you questions that will prove to you that you are being a morally inconsistent fellow. And not only that, I can ask you questions that will prove to you that you might actually be pro-abortion. I even talked to a nurse who was against abortion, who refused to believe the idea that a nurse who refused to believe the idea that abortion is the termination of a pregnancy. A nurse, like it's in the ICD. What the hell? It's insane. Whatever. Okay, thank you everybody for being here. That's it. I think I'm gonna go. We've had a good conversation. We've had some pretty nice. Oh wait! Before we go, whatever you wanna say, I will continue to. Wait, no. Wait, whatever fallacy you wanna call it. Okay. Well, no. Wait, before we go, come on, admit it. It's not about you admit. Please admit it. I don't need logic to support needless exploitation and slaughter of animals. Can you say that? Can you admit to what you're doing? Can you be a man? Can you be brave enough? Be brave. Be a decent human being, a brave, decent human being, and admit to what you're doing. And then we'll go. How about that? Huh? Can you say, I don't need logic to support the needless exploitation and slaughter of innocent animals? Can you do that? Can you? Or are you still going to be thinking about yourself only? Are you brave enough to say that? Thanks, Chip. Enjoy the nice weather. It's still 22 Celsius outside. Actually, I'm going to go help a person move a fridge. They needed my muscles. So I'm going to help somebody move a fridge. Yeah, but that's it. And that's all my plans for today. And then I'm going to come back and rest so that the next days I can do activism. Hey, VPM is here. VPM, you missed it. We watched the debate that I did with Planet Peterson, and now we're going to be ending it. But I was waiting for this anti-vegan troll to admit that they are supporting needless animal exploitation and slaughter, but I see that they are indeed they went radio silent. Yeah. Okay, that's it. There's always the Discord channel. Yeah, there is. I want to do Discord, but I also want to continue doing on the street. I miss doing it on the street. Oh, there you go. See? Oh, thank you for proving my point. You are a coward. Thank you so much. Oh, look at that. Look how you're trying to dodge it. I don't need logic to support that. Oh my God, it's so beautiful how you're such a coward. Thank you for proving that you're a coward. Thank you so much. We appreciate, as the people who are brave enough to admit our mistakes and to make changes in our life, appreciate the fact that you are a coward, and you're so cowardly that you're not even brave enough to say what you are supporting. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I think that's where we need to end it, everybody, because that's literally when somebody has a nickname like that, when somebody is such an anti-vegan troll, we need to explain to them that they are indeed just being cowardly. Yeah, just a coward. That's it. Just a coward. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you. Yeah, look at that. Look, you see? To fish, to hunt, you see? Just justifications, not actually calling it for what it is. That's insane. That's literally the definition of a coward. You're so afraid to say what it is because you know that if you admit to a needless exploitation and slaughter of animals, then you would feel bad about it. Man, it must be a sad world. It must be like, I hate to tell you, but the fact that you can't admit it means that you probably live in a pretty sad world. I'm just saying, sad world. You'll feel better when you admit it. You'll feel better. You'll know. So, do that. And thank you so much, everybody, for being here. This has been a stream mostly for vegans. That's why I did it horizontally, so we tackle others. Yeah, you see? Thank you. There you go. Again, thank you for proving me my point again. So funny. So funny how people like you prove my points. Thank you. Thank you for proving my point. I really appreciate it. I think if you hadn't said it, I would have been like, maybe you're not such a coward. Maybe you have something there. But no, you're just a coward. Thank you for that. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Yeah, I'll come back with activism somewhere this week. I don't know exactly when. There's a couple of moving parts and I don't want to promise anything. I definitely know at least once, either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Tomorrow I also have a dentist appointment. So based on how my state of mind is afterwards, because they do have to put in some anesthesia and do some work, based on that I will see if I do it tomorrow. And if not, Wednesday or Thursday. That's it. And also depend on other things because I have some friends to help out. Do you have the URL for the debate video? Yes, I do. I'll put it one last time in the chat. And I'll also be putting it as a comment of this video. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I hope you have a great day. Go vegan. No more excuses. Just do it, okay? And let me know, by the way, in the comments. Let me know what I should have done better in that conversation. I think I wanted to do this whole thing where we discuss just so that I explain kind of my thinking in the process. That's it. And let's end it with this one. I'll put it up on the line screen. If you're not vegan yet and you know the harm you cause, you are a coward and continue demanding someone enslavement. Love it. And follow Vegan Stoner Lady also. She's awesome. She does a great job on YouTube, on TikTok.